NBL continues on Fox Sports Central. That's next weekend on Fox Sports.
Welcome back to Fox Sports exclusive coverage of the 2000 Rugby League World Cup. Time now to look at some of the action from round one. And first up, it's Australia's closest neighbours, Papua New Guinea up against France. As we take a look at the lineups, well, I believe we're going to take a look at the lineups. Yes, that's correct.
Going to be a better side than what we saw last time out. But they'll need to play fairly well against this French side because they're a very proud bunch and they're playing in France.
Game hits the hole particularly well, does Jean-Emmanuel Cassard. You watch him here explode into the hole, very powerful low, absorbs two defenders, flicks the ball inside to Yassine Dekish, who careers away and goes over and scores a wonderful try for the French, who are capitalising superbly on the errors and the opportunities being thrown at them by the Papua New Guineans. And Dekish goes away and scores a great try. Lovely clean pairs of heels.
Now Davici again, looking for support. He has it on the inside from El Kalouki. And again, another of the French farmers and the French lorry drivers with all these blockades. And so far they've kept them out. Can they do it again? Jean goes out wide. The chance now for Marcus Bai. It came off a French hand, and Marcus Bai is going to get the first try of the game for Papua New Guinea. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Joy for the coach, Bob Bennett. A touch of luck at the end, but perhaps they deserve it. And Papua New Guinea, at last, coming up for 55 minutes on the clock, are on the board. It's 16-4 to France.
Just a clever bit of play out. The great passing right onto the chest. They didn't have the numbers there, the French. The winger in Benoit should not have come in. He should have just stayed out on Marcus Bai. Would have stopped this one, and he actually just came out with a touch in there. Oh, gee, it's an easy one for Bai. He will take no credit out of that. I'd like to see a bit more enthusiasm out of Marcus Bai. He really does need to take the role of a senior player and lift his teammates by showing some excitement out of this. Just places the ball, makes it look oh so easy. Just something about the way he goes around and score this means he's a little bit down in his game. I'd like to see him up a little bit and really putting some enthusiasm into the side, because they are now back in. If they can kick the goal and show some patience and get back down the other end and come up with a couple more points, it's game on.
Now let's really see what they're made of. Stanley Jean, that's a great break from Jean. He's got support on the inside, and all of a sudden the French defence is exposed, possibly for the first time in this game, and they're on the back foot. Adrian Lam puts the kick over the top, and this is going to be another try for Papua New Guinea. 2 tries in 2 minutes. Alex Kruanti picks up the loose ball. Adrian Lam with a kick over the top, and all of a sudden France look to be cruising, and Papua New Guinea have got their act together, and who knows from here on in.
Well, particularly when the players Lam and Jean are the two players really putting their hand up and gaining some ascendancy for the Papua New Guineans. It was a great break from Stanley Jean that gave the Papua New Guineans this field position. And now before we've seen Adrian Lam throw some wild passes out wide, and he wasn't doing much, setting much up with doing that. This time he goes to the line and knows that the French defenders have all come forward, drops it on the toe, and Alex Kruanti goes away. Tremendous bounce for him. Thumbs up, doing well. We're going around closer to the post because we know that Stanley Jeans has got a wonky goal kick on him. If he kicks it, it's 12-0. Sorry, 16-12 to the French. And gee, this is really game on, because all of a sudden the Papua New Guineans have got a new lease of life. Oh yeah, aren't they enjoying this one? Look at this great defence again from the French.
Well, that looked like 6 to go. Mamando had the ball knocked out of his hands, and psychologically that last defensive 6 could be so important for Papua New Guinea. Here's Stanley Jean, put through by Adrian Lam, and Stanley Jean could go all the way on his own. Jean gets the ball inside, and Papua New Guinea will score another try. It looks like Marcus Bai who's come up with a 6, or is it Bucco? David Bucco under the post. One end of the field to the other, and Papua New Guinea have come back from the dead. They were 16 points down, and with the kick to come, they can level it all up. And it was Adrian Lam, and it was Stanley Jean.
Wow, it was great hole running from Stanley Jean, the forte of his game. He's such a tough little character, built low to the ground, great dummy there, mesmerised the French defence. Again, they were there in numbers, the French, but he was just too classy. Stanley Jean, fantastic performance, and Bucco was on hand and went away and scored a fantastic try. Look at Stanley Jean into the hole.
We're getting now to the stage in this opening game in Group 3 where 1 point could win or lose. Great break by Adrian Lam. Lam still going. He's got support on the inside. He may not need it. Adrian Lam will go all the way, and that could win it for Papua New Guinea. Adrian Lam, they call him the little general, and from nowhere the captain has come up with a wonder try, and Papua New Guinea come back from 16 points down, and they could win it. Sensational.
Well, class tells at the end of the day, with 5 minutes to go on the clock, the captain, Adrian Lam's put his hand up. A beautiful little jink off the right foot. O'Reilly found him out in space. The defenders were tiring there. The inside defender couldn't quite get across. That was unfortunately Jason Sands for the French, and Lam just went away. That's a 50-yard try, that. That's a fantastic performance from the skipper. They were dead and buried, Papua New Guinea. It was only 15 minutes ago. They couldn't find any energy, but just watch him here. A lovely little jink off the right foot. Again, the ball was out in two hands, keeping the defenders guessing. Couldn't get across. Bonke was beaten by speed and the step of Lam, and he just went away to score a fantastic try. And how I don't think he'll score, it's a cliche, he won't score a more important try in his national colours. Adrian Lam, just on 5 minutes to go in this game. Well, they shouldn't lose it from here. I'm sure he'll throw a one-pointer here. I'm sure he'll go for a field goal when he gets the ball. Here he is with the ball right in front of the post.
Tries the one-pointer, and Adrian Lam has surely won this game for Papua New Guinea. 23 unanswered points in the space of 26 minutes. Certainly for 45 minutes it did, but then they didn't bank on what has been a quite amazing comeback from Papua New Guinea. But France won't give this one up. They move the ball out, and there could be a try, another try for the put forward, and it is Rachid Hashish who gets a try back for France. Well, you can't help but think it's too little too late. He thinks that, but a second try for Hashish in this game, and Dumas seems to think that that's it. That could be the end of the game as far as the French are concerned. Consolation and nothing else on a day of bitter disappointment for France.
Yeah, very much. A wonderful bit of play from the French. They've kept the ball alive all game. There's so much of their style. Great inside ball there. Fantastic play from Gael Talak. Shows all his experience. And the winger, has he turned into a winger, has he? Rachid Hashish, the second try out wide. Great take there from Gael Talak. Just powers his way towards the line, drops the ball inside. Rachid Hashish finds himself at the line again and scoring a wonderful try. Can Bonke keep this? So they need to score a try to win the game.
Closing in on what would be a very, very famous victory for them. Don't forget they were thrashed 82-0 by Australia, but they've beaten France in the opening game of the Millennium World Cup in the Charlotte Stadium. A fantastic comeback from 16 points to 0 down. Papua New Guinea have won their first ever World Cup game on foreign soil, and they will go on to play South Africa on Thursday in Toulouse, knowing victory will secure a quarter-final place. As for the French, it's back to the drawing board. Massive disappointment, and the faces tell the story. They now have to beat Tonga in their next game.
Yeah, pumped up Papua New Guinea drawing first blood in Group 3, defeating France 23 points to 20. And I've got to say, fellas, it was a pretty good game. It looks like the French, though, their fitness needs some work.
Yeah, well, either that or they thought they had the game well in hand.
Well, 16-0, you know.
Well, exactly right. But as we commented before we saw the highlights, that, you know, the Lam and Bye factor and so forth. And the one thing you do realise very quickly when you do actually play against Papua New Guinea. They are a proud bunch, and they'll just keep coming. And if you're not prepared to play the whole 80 minutes, they'll you know, score tries on you. And as we saw, a couple of lapses in defence allowed them to get in and score some tries. But watching the highlights there's a real Broncos flavour to that PNG side. I dare say Bob Bennett, the coach of the PNG side, has rung his brother Wayne and said, listen, lend me your staff for a couple of weeks, will you? And
we saw Craig Bellamy there.
Craig Bellamy and Springer, he's the another runner or trainer for the Broncos, and of course Bobby Cutmore has been on the administrative staff there for a while, so they're all over there. So look, I think it's a great start to the World Cup for PNG, and obviously that group that they're in is wide open, and that'll give them a lot of confidence.
Well, they're disappointing for France, though. One of the host nations over there. You wanted them to start off well.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd go pretty well in this World Cup. I believe it is a real shame the way that they've declined as a power in rugby league over the last 20 years. They were a real force to be reckoned with, you know, throughout the 70s and 80s. After the days of Pugh Gobert went past, of course, it seemed that they were no chance of ever matching rugby union, and it went on in decline. But I held some faint hope that they were going to keep going one day and be able to get back to at least be competitive.
Well, that's only round one, and we've seen Papua New Guinea defeat France 23 points to 20. We'll have more from the opening round of the Rugby League World Cup on the other side.
This morning, live